Are you looking for a good synthetic camp blanket? We've got two options for you. The SnugPak Jungle Blanket, we've had this for 8 years now, and newly added to our gear, Get Out Gear Double Puffy Blanket. To make your decision easier, we're gonna tell you what we like about these and what we really don't like. Before we open up these, let's take a closer look on the outside. The Jungle Blanket actually has a compression sack, so you can actually pull down the straps while pushing down to make it a tighter size. As you can see, it got quite a bit smaller, especially compared to the Get Out Gear. And actually, if you tried a little bit harder, you could probably make it even smaller. It's gonna still weigh the same, but it's gonna be smaller in size. The Get Out Gear one, we did try smushing it down, but it kept on trying to peek on out. Weight of your gear is always an important factor. Just holding them here, the Get Out Gear does feel lighter, but we're gonna put it on the scale and compare them. It is 23.9 ounces, and the Jungle Blanket, 25.6. Yep, it's a little bit heavier. I would actually have thought it would have been a little bit heavier, but it's just a couple ounces. The Get Out Gear bag is very similar to a dry sack. It's got the roll top, so you got your blanket in there, so you just, after you're done shoving it in there, you're gonna roll it down as much as you can. It does try to escape. It's got the buckle snap and just closes up just like that. It also has a little loop on the back, so you can use that for hanging it, maybe a carabiner. One last thing about the stuff sacks is the Get Out Gear one does feel a little bit lighter. You can actually see the lining of the outer blanket stitching right through the sack. The SnugPak, it's been thrown around so much in all these years that we've had it, and still no tears. So it definitely feels a little bit more durable. When it comes to cost, they are in around the $50 range, so very comparable on the price. Let's get these blankets out of the sack. This is the Jungle Blanket. It is treated with an antibacterial and antimicrobial. It is windproof and water resistant. Taking a closer look at this blanket, the shiny side is we consider the outside. It's got a little textured grid pattern. Flip it over. We've got the inside layer that would be against your skin. It's a little soft to the touch. It's just a solid color. One thing we find strange is how this is stitched. There's actually only a few sections that are stitched, and that is just the insulation to the inner shell lining. The outer shell is actually only stitched along the edge, the outer edge. So if you are a big mover or roller in the bed, there is a possibility of getting a big section of just the outer layer with no insulation on your body. That could be sitting over on the ground. Greg uses this as his top quilt when he's hammock camping. The only downside is that he is a mover, so the insulation portion can tend to get shoved off to the side, which can make it a little bit drafty. Now for the Get Out Gear blanket. It is orange. The nice thing about this blanket is it lofts up quickly, super puffy. It is quilted. Each section is sewn in. It's got nice squares there. Each of these squares are stitched together all the way through. So there really is no front or back. Unlike the SnugPak, you're not going to be moving around the two different layers. This is made from 20D nylon that has a DWR coating, so it's going to be water resistant. It's very soft and light to the touch, so it's a little bit thinner. It has a nice insulation though. And there are two hooks on here. So you could hang it out if it did get wet, so you could dry it. Nice feature, that one that I actually really love, is it has snaps, so you can turn this into a poncho. This is a really nice feature, so when you're sitting by the campfire, you can get bundled up. When we compare the size, they actually are pretty similar in length. One is 77 inches, that's the Jungle Blanket, and the Get Out one is 76 inches, so just an inch difference. But when we look at the width, There is about a 10-inch difference. So we're looking at about 53 inches for the Get Out one, 64 inches for the Jungle Blanket. When it comes to the color options for these blankets, they are definitely on the different ends of the spectrum. We have your earthy tones with the SnugPak. We've got your olive greens, your coyote brown, and a black. But on the Get Out gear, you are given a little bit more brighter color options. We've got your teal, the orange, a bright blue. They do have an olive green, but they have their blankets, all their trim is a different color. So if you're gonna get an olive green, you're gonna have a bright trim of orange along that blanket. They both definitely have their own unique style. When it comes to care, the Jungle Blanket is hand wash only and the Get Out gear is machine washable. What do we think about these blankets? I think that they're really good, but of course they both have their quirks. I really wish that the Jungle Blanket had more stitching where the outer lining was more attached to the insulation itself. But we really love the compression sack. You can get that thing really small. The double puffy blanket is made from a lighter weight material, so it's gonna be a little bit more delicate and you gotta have some extra care with it. But that poncho feature makes it so that you have that extra warmth around you. If you've had experience with these blankets, either one of them, let us know in the comments below. We'd be interested to hear about them. You can find links in the description below for both of these blankets. You can check out this video next, and you can find out more about us at exploretrekadventure.com, and we'll see you next time.